Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to call the August 18th meeting of the Traffic Commission to order. Members present are Police Chief David Callahan and Fire Chief Chris Bright, and myself, Paul Argenzio. If you could join us in a salute to the flag, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with justice for all. Thank you. Before we get started, I would like to acknowledge and thank Sergeant Chris Giannino. This is going to be his last meeting. He's retiring the end of the year. So thank you, Chris. And I would like to welcome Laurie De Los Santos, who's going to be taking Chris's position here, and look forward to working with you. Thank you very much. Thank you. The first thing on the agenda is, let me get my glasses. A public hearing. The first public hearing is a request to convert the Broadway bus-only lane pilot to a permanent program on the southerly side of Broadway, beginning from 730 Broadway, southerly towards 80 Broadway, onward to the Revere-Chelsea City line. The bus lane will operate during the hours of 4 a.m. to 9 a.m. on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Parking will be prohibited during the hours of 4 to 9 a.m. during the operating hours of the bus lane on the southbound side of Broadway. A parking penalty of $100 will be imposed by the Revere Parking Department for vehicles parked in the bus lane during the bus lane operating hours of 4 a.m. to 9 a.m. Monday through Friday. So we currently have this program. It was a pilot program, and now this public hearing is to determine whether we should make it a permanent program. Anyone wishing to speak in favor of this?
Good afternoon, Julie DeMauro, Department of Planning and Community Development. As the chair of the Traffic Commission has stated, this is a public hearing to turn the bus-only pilot lane into a permanent fixture on Broadway. It will continue to run as it has been running, only through the morning hours of 4 a.m. to 9 a.m. If this does become a permanent program, there will be some changes to the city ordinances related to Title 10 vehicles and traffic, include the definition of a bus lane, updates on the fines, prohibited parking hours, only during the hours that the bus lane is operational. I want to say that for the most part, this was a lot to get off the ground during the pilot, but once we got it going, it seemed to be doing okay. And in terms of travel time, what we have noticed, and we do have data to back it up, is that this bus lane has saved commuters at least 3 minutes travel time, traveling through from Revere Street all the way to the Chelsea line. So we are in favor of this, the Department of Planning and Community Development, and then when we go to restripe the lane, it'll actually be paid for the MBTA.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor?
Good evening, Anthony Cogliandro, 105 Newman Street. I have a business on Broadway, and I don't really see any issues with this bus lane. I know when it came into effect, when we did the pilot program, please don't interrupt me. I know that when I'm going to ask the gentleman to stop interrupting me, sir, if that would be okay.
You ask him to speak up, please, I can't hear. Okay. Please speak into the mic, Mr. Council.
Okay. So, again, I have a business on Broadway that the bus lane goes through. I personally don't observe any issues. At the beginning, I know the parking director said that they were issuing warnings so people could get used to this program. The only problem I have is this $100, and I'm wondering if the city would be willing to lower it to $50. But other than that, I think it should stay. I don't think it causes any additional problems to the city. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor?
Zach Babel, Director of Parking. I'm in favor of the bus lane, but there's a couple adjustments I would like to recommend. I do agree with Councilor Cogliandro. I think a $100 violation is a little steep. That's right in line with our handicap violations and our parking within a bus stop. I don't feel that this is the same thing. I feel like we should keep it with the pilot, $25 for obstructing traffic, obstructing the flow of the bus lane. That would be my first recommendation. Second thing is some data maybe could be provided by the MBTA. The busiest time on Broadway is between 8 to 9 a.m., whether it's parents dropping off their children to school, getting coffee on the way to work, the CHA, they have doctor's appointments there between 8 and 9. Well, a couple of our violations last year were just people trying to make it to their doctor's appointment. So just maybe reconsider some time adjustments or whatever the data provides, how much ridership is happening between 8 to 9, how many buses are flowing through Broadway between 8 to 9. One other thing I would like to look at is once this lane is painted, who's going to be responsible for the upkeep? During the winter months, we've seen that the paint really faded out between the plowing, the salt. It was come spring. It wasn't as bright as it originally was when it was painted in the fall. So who's going to maintain the upkeep of that? Should a sign get removed? Should a sign get taken down? Who's going to be responsible to replace those signs to just notify the parkers that this is in fact a bus lane during those hours? And those are just my couple of recommendations, a couple of answers I wanted to get. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Marr, would you like to address his questions?
Yeah, so I'm going to address two questions. The first was raised by Council Cogliandro regarding the $100 fine. That was based off of the current bus stop violation fine of $100. When we requested the public hearing, I also put out that if we wanted to work on the fine, we can. It can be $50, but usually most cities, it's not 25. It's either 50, 75, or 100. I'm willing to work on the traffic commission with that, setting a reasonable fine. In terms of the paint, yes, it was paint that was put down, and that was because it was a pilot, and we didn't want to put down the material called Ruby Lake, which is what they stripe the bike lanes. It's usually in green. That's something that lasts for about 5 years. It's a hard-coated paint. It's burned onto the street, and it lasts, I think it's anywhere from 3 to 5 years, depending on snow removal. So we would at least get 3 to 5 years out of that paint.
Okay, and in the event that that does fail, will the MBTA maintain that paint, or would it be up to the city to?
Repainting?
Okay,
Yeah. So currently, we are under the MBTA pricing structures,
Okay.
Which is a statewide regional procurement. So in the event that we go to restripe this in another 5 years or what have you, it would be discounted greatly. I think
Okay.
it's only $4 a square foot versus, I think it's $8.75 in the city contract.
okay. Thank you. Mhm. Anyone else wish to speak in favor? Hearing none, I'll close this side of the hearing. Anyone opposed?
Good afternoon, members of the Traffic Commission, Councilor Richard Serino, Ward 6. I wasn't going to speak on this matter until the other night. I happened to be on Route 60 in Malden, on Eastern Ave, going toward Medford. And if you've been on that road lately, I hadn't been on it in a few months. The city of Malden added a bus lane on Route 60. And what used to be 3 lanes is now down to 2 lanes. And it kind of created a bit of a traffic nightmare. I was there during a rush hour, and it was rather kind of crazy. So as Ward 6 councilor, my fear is that we're setting precedent now. I believe, is this not the first bus lane throughout the city?
Yes, it is.
This would be the first bus lane. So my biggest concern, in addition to, a couple of the businesses on Broadway like Liberto's with the coffee shop in the early morning hours, my biggest concern would be moving forward that, there could be talks of adding a bus lane to Squire Road, and I think we'd be opening kind of the floodgates to allowing that to happen. I can speak from experience too, as a commuter who does drive his car into Boston, we have a bus lane on the Tobin Bridge. They took an entire lane of the Tobin Bridge, which was 3 lanes, now down to 2, and it does add traffic. Traffic is now backing up almost into the city of Revere on Route 1 South in the mornings. So between that, as well as the possibility that this could open the floodgates to more bus lanes, I would not want to see a bus lane on Squire Road. That would just be an absolute nightmare. And I know that's not the subject at hand, but my concern is that it would set precedent. So therefore, I am opposed. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Anyone else wish to speak in opposition?
Wayne Rose, Thorndike Street in Revere. Ms. Morrow said that this alleviates a lot of time on the commute. And you're from the MBTA?
Yeah.
I could have sworn I heard this gentleman at the last meeting say it shaved a minute off of the bus time. Is that true?
I wasn't here.
Oh, it wasn't him? Well, the last guy that was here did say that. 1 minute to take away from our businesses along Broadway, it's just not fair for people that are coming from Swampscott and Marblehead, dumping their cars at Wonderland and jumping on this bus. It's just not fair to the people of Revere. When other people can come from another city and save a minute, it just doesn't work for us.
Thank you, Mr. Rose.
Hi, I'm Gina Salamone Castiello, lifelong resident of Revere. I strongly oppose this. Growing up in Revere, my family, my husband's family, who are no longer in business, having small businesses, and me running my small business ready to retire, I think this is going to hurt small businesses on Broadway. It's certainly going to hurt excise tax-paying citizens in this community who are struggling like everybody else from the pandemic. And I think it's designed to hurt our small businesses because it supports sustainable development, Agenda 2030. I'm strongly, personally against ruining our community totally. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else wish to speak in opposition?
Sophia Durbano, Atwood Street, Revere. I just want to say I oppose this, and I have a few questions. What are they going to do to provide parking for those small businesses that will be losing their parking? And how does this benefit the taxpayers? Or do we always just get the back end of every deal, which is more and more traffic? Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Would you like to answer
I
those
want to approach
questions?
the complaints about losing parking. Right now, businesses, you're not allowed to park on Broadway at 9 o'clock in the from 4 to 9 o'clock in the morning because the meters aren't working. We're not taking up any of the travel lanes because we're using the existing parking lane for the bus to travel. We are not taking away from the businesses, especially businesses that receive deliveries early first thing in the morning. They have been told they can continue to take those deliveries as needed. I'm also going to have Jay from the MBTA address the concerns from Council Serino regarding the issues in Malden and in Boston. Once again, those bus lanes took up actual travel lanes. This is not taking up the travel lane, it's taking up a parking lane. Jay?
So,
If you could state your name
oh yeah, sorry.
and address.
I'm Jay Jackson with the MBTA
Thank you.
in the Transit Priority Group. And first thing, I've kind of been brought onto this project kind of now, so I'm getting up to speed. But I can speak a little bit to the Malden project in that the signals and the lanes were not optimized at the same time. So there's a huge coordination going on with the signals. So what you see now is not what it's going to be like. So there's a mismatch, which is not happening here in Revere. So that's one aspect that's important. The other thing is just the whole overall concept of induced demand, where when you build bus lanes and you build more active transportation, you're going to get a certain number of people that are going to not drive, and then that is going to actually make the driving better because cars just take up so much space, especially in these small communities around here. And then there's quite a lot of traffic. A lot of small businesses don't realize how much of their traffic actually comes by modes other than driving. So that's, some people always it's very common for people to overestimate, especially in this area, how many people are actually coming from driving. So these are the sorts of things that we're gonna have to do to make our, like, area more livable and with transportation. So, thank you.
Okay, thank you for your comments. Anyone else wish to speak in opposition?
How much time does this exactly save coming through Revere?
So I'm not gonna be.
3 minutes.
3 minutes.
3 minutes to accommodate, to mess up our businesses for this. And I've talked to business owners, and they say it is hurting their business, especially ones that open at 7 o'clock in the morning. That's 2 hours of bus lane that they have to put up with in front of their businesses. So I don't think it's a good idea. And to save 3 minutes for people that aren't even coming from our city, most of them. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rose.
Can I clarify something? So that is now from 4 a.m. to 9 a.m., and they want to
Correct.
make this permanent all day?
No, from 4 to 9. It was a pilot program, so it'll only be from 4 to 9.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else wishing to speak in opposition? Okay. What's the pleasure of the commission? Now, one question, Mr. Morrow. The business owners, were they aware of this public hearing?
The public hearing was advertised. So if they were to read the advertisement in the Journal and read the agenda, they would have known that this was happening.
Thank you.
Just for the record, the advertisement was a full page in the Advocate. Took
Full-
a
full
whole
page?
page
Okay.
in the Advocate. It wasn't
Okay.
a little public hearing ad. It was a complete, full page
Okay.
2 weeks ago, as required by law.
Thank you. Please come to the podium.
Wayne Rose, Thorndike Street. I'm just wondering why the businesses themselves weren't notified with some kind of flyer or something to give them the opportunity. A lot of these business owners don't live in Revere, and many people don't read the Revere Journal. Thank you.
Do I hear a,
Hi, excuse me, Mr. Argento, Gina Castiello again. A lot of people don't read the Revere Journal, and there are a lot of people that I personally speak to who are strongly against this, and a lot of them don't speak English very well. They do not understand what's going on in this community, and they have small businesses, and they're hurting badly. So I think it should get out there to all the small businesses. Thank you.
okay. Thank you.
Chairman, I'd make a motion to approve. I don't know if there's something we can do about to lower the fine on that end.
We can lower it right now if you'd like.
Make a motion, we lower it.
We want to lower it to 50?
$50.
$50. Okay, I hear a motion on the floor to reduce the fine to $50 and make this bus lane permanent. Do I hear a second?
I'll second that, sir.
Second, all in favor? Our second public hearing is a public hearing by Councilor Serino and Cogliandro to add stop signs on Fenley Street where it intersects with Conant Street, one sign in each direction, and B, add stop signs on Fenley Street where it intersects with Carlson Street, one sign in each direction. Anyone wishing to speak in favor?
Good evening, Commissioners. Anthony Cogliandro, Ward 3 Councilor. Obviously, we have a large speeding issue in the city, and we're just trying to, a little bit at a time, tackle one issue at a time. I don't want to put every single street we get complaints about on at once, but this is definitely one that I feel is necessary now because the school year is starting, and Fenley Street is used as a cut-through to enter and exit the SBA, and the speeding is just, it's been a huge problem. So we just had a couple of stop signs. At the very least, it'll slow cars down a couple of times on that road. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor.
Hi, Commission, Councilor Richard Serino, Ward 6 again. Just speaking in favor of this. I live right off of Fenley Street, and I can attest. So we share Fenley Street. He has, Councilor Cogliandro has the half that's a little closer toward the Lincoln School and heading toward Malden Street. I have the part heading toward Newhall Street. So people do speed, especially in the vicinity of Fenley and Carlson, Fenley and Kingman, Fenley and North, going toward the Wayland School or coming out from the Wayland School. So I think having the stop signs at the top of the hill at Carlson Ave especially will help to deter that and give some of the residents relief up there. So I respectfully ask that you approve. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Anyone else wish to speak in favor?
Wayne Rose, Thorndike Street. We talked about this at the last meeting, and Sergeant Janino said that we have a big problem with these signs at a lot of intersections. I'm just wondering what we're going to do about it. Just talking about it ain't enough. People could get killed with these stop signs. I know there's a lot of areas coming out onto Broadway, no stop sign. So we have a problem throughout the city that we need stop signs in places. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rose. Anyone else wish to speak in favor? Press the button, sir. There
Good
you go.
evening, Sam Felitti, 101 Fenley Street. I've lived there 42 years now, so I know what that street is all about. It is a cut-through street. There's no problem with that. I mean, I do the same thing. I cut through some streets. But when they fly down that street, and if you had any police officer there, I'm sure they could pull over a dozen people every morning because they choose to use that street to eliminate Vinnie's Corner, especially when the kids are going to school. And at night, they come back the same way. It is, unless you see it yourself, you cannot believe. And a lot of times I found myself close to a confrontation with some of these people, which they're flying down the street, then they slam on the brakes, they're giving you all kinds of signs, and it's just, the thing that worries me the most is that the kids, when they're starting school coming up now in September, a lot of kids come down that street. At one time, there was a lot of less kids, but today there is more. And it's just a dangerous situation for them and for adults. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? Hearing none, anyone wish to speak in opposition? Anyone want to speak in opposition? Thank you. Do I hear a motion to accept?
Mr. Argentio will make a motion to approve.
Okay, a second?
The stop signs.
All in favor? Aye. So ordered. Number 3, a public hearing. Councilor Mckenna to amend Schedule 8 of Title 10 by adding 910 Winthrop Ave, 1-hour parking, Monday through Saturday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Hi. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Joanne McKenna, One Ward Councilor. This is for Northrop Printing. He's getting inundated with tickets because they're making deliveries and there is no signage there and it's 24 hours. So all I want to do is relieve his pain and just put a 1-hour parking there so he won't get ticketed.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor?
Wayne Rose, Thorndike Street. Can we make this during business hours only? It is?
I believe it is.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? Hearing none. Anyone wish to speak in opposition? Anyone wish to speak in opposition? Hearing none. Do I hear a motion from the floor?
Motion to approve, Mr. Chairman.
Do I hear a second?
I second that, Mr. Chairman.
All in favor? Thank you. Number 4, public hearing from Councilor Mckenna to amend resident permit parking by adding 9 through 12 Atlantic Ave to 24/7 permit parking.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Joanne McKenna, Ward 1 Counselor. I think this is already amended, so I'm going to wipe this off the
Withdrawing this,
agenda.
this is okay.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Number 5, public hearing from Councilor Sereno to amend Schedule 5 of Title 10 by adding A, Derby Road, northwesterly direction from Grover to Squire, and Derby Road southwesterly from Grover to Malden. Anyone wish to speak in favor?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Richard Sereno, Ward 6 Counselor. I put this request in along with the next request to kind of address a problem that we've been seeing growing over the last number of years on these streets off of Squire Road. And these are the first 2 streets that I'm hoping to tackle in the future. You know, there are issues with other streets like Charger Street and whatnot that need addressing. But for today, as we speak on Derby Road, I would say since, Joe's Market opened in 2013, since Market Basket came to Northgate in 2014, and just over the years with more traffic in general on Squire Road and in our community, these residents of Derby Road have seen an increase, dramatic increase of traffic coming off of Squire Road in that one way, because everybody comes out of Northgate or out of Joe's or out of, coming up off Route 1. And those of us who live in West Revere, myself included, when I would be going to Honeydew or coming out from Northgate, we all go up Derby Road from Squire Road. So those of us who abide by, speed regulations, it might not be as big of a deal. But the residents are seeing an increase of people just speeding. As we know, people in the city just don't seem to care when it comes to not abiding by speeding regulations and whatnot, and they're going higher than 35 miles per hour on a lot of these side streets. So with regard to Derby Road especially, like I said, this is the first one I want to tackle. This proposal in front of you would make Derby Road a one-way going the other way. So right now, you come up, you take a right off Squire Road. This would make the lower half of Derby Road from Grover Street to Squire Road a one-way going out to Squire Road. I believe it would retain the one-way going out toward Malden Street on the upper half of the street, which is fine. But I do believe that will alleviate speeding concerns. We have a lot of residents, and you'll hear from residents tonight, who live on Derby Road, who it's not only a quality of life issue, but it is a safety issue. They have children who live on the street who, they're afraid of, not that children play in the street, but are afraid that if a child were to get hit or whatnot. So I would respectfully ask that you listen to these residents and you give them the relief that they are asking for. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Anyone else wish to speak in favor of this change?
Good evening, Commission. Anthony Cogliandro. I just also want to make one other point on item 5 and 6. Both of these streets would be going down. We're going to have a Popeyes there. I think this might be an ideal situation, that they wouldn't be able to turn up Derby Road, and that would eliminate any potential for garbage coming out of that area, hopefully. So I just want to show my support. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor?
Hi.
Hi.
I live at 75 Grover Street.
Name, please.
Kelly Resendez.
Thank you.
It's on the corner of Derby and Grover. I'm for it. There's tons of traffic that goes up there every day. I watch probably about 20 almost accidents fly through that stop sign every day. There's trash everywhere from people cutting through, and from Market Basket, from McDonald's, from Taco Bell, because they cut through there and they just whip everything out their windows. And the other concern is they're putting a Popeyes at the end of the street. So they're going to come out of the parking lot and they're going to use that as a cut through. I mean, I know a lot of people use this as a cut through. I know people that don't live in the city, and when I talk to them about like us trying to change the street, they say, oh yeah, I use that as a cut through all the time to go home. We just appreciate a little help and turn that street around a little bit.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor?
Michelle Kelly, Derby Road. I've lived at Derby Road for about 26 years now, and there's been a tremendous increase in traffic since the Market Basket went in at Northgate and other businesses. I can only imagine it's going to increase more with the Popeye's Chicken opening up, when the Amazon building is finished. It seems like Derby Road is used for a cut-through, if there's any bit of traffic on Squire Road, also to reverse direction. We get an unbelievable amount of trash from all of the fast food businesses that are on Squire Road. In addition to that, it is definitely a safety issue that Ricky was mentioning. When you come off of Squire Road to turn on to Derby, cars go fast because they're on Squire Road. So they're on like a highway, they take that turn really fast. And there's little kids that play right at the beginning of that corner. And it's almost happened to me a couple of times where I'll take that corner and I know because I live there. So I'm on high alert that those kids might be in the street. But people that don't live there aren't going to know that. And how it hasn't happened yet, it's been a godsend that no one's gotten hurt this far. So in addition to that, I do have a petition signed by everyone on Derby Road.
Okay.
The neighbors that are all in favor of it. There was no one that opposed it from the corner of Grover all the way down to Squire Road.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? Hearing none, anyone wish to speak in opposition to this change?
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Asunta Newton. I live on Lincoln Street, but I am here on behalf of my parents who are residents of Augustus. They've owned that house for over 30 years, and no one is arguing with the fact that there is a ridiculous amount of traffic on those streets. But my problem is that we are taking these streets as standalone, and really all, 8 or 10 streets that are coming off of Grover are being affected by this. So if this passes, then all those streets all those cars that would normally go up Derby would be going up Augustus. They'd be going up Keeney, they'd be going up Gore, they'd be going up Orvis. I don't think that this is stopping people so much as rerouting it, and that's not solving the problem, that's making it someone else's problem. I don't know if this is something that we do in Revere, but I have seen in other cities that they have well-traveled streets that would be considered cut-throughs. They have like do not enter during certain hours. So if, it was do not enter or residents only during a particular window of time, that might, it'll still spread it. No one's saying that these streets are not getting all this traffic. It's just to do this is not solving the problem. It's just making it someone else's problem, and it's, then the people that live on that street, how are they going to get home? They're going to take one of the other streets. They're going to go up Augustus. They're going to go up Gore. They're going to go up Orvis. And so instead of just having this increase that all the streets have seen, then the streets adjacent are just getting 3 times as much traffic instead of the traffic that they've already gotten to this point.
Okay.
Right?
Thank you very much. Anyone else wishing to speak in opposition? Or, okay, if you'd like to address it.
Richard Serino, Ward 6 Councilor again. Just to address Ms. Newton's concerns, because I don't necessarily disagree. Obviously, when I had presented this to the City Council and asked the Traffic Commission, a lot of people said, all you're doing is you're shifting the issue onto other streets. So that's why at the beginning of my comments before, I not only acknowledge that, but this is only the beginning, and I do hope to see other streets, whether we're rerouting or, like they said, during certain hours or whatnot. But in terms of, Derby Road and Sigourney Street, and I will say Charger Street as well, those 3 streets off Squire Road see by far the most amount of traffic from Squire Road. And I empathize with the residents who live on all the other streets, and I don't mean to say this in a rude way, but to spread out the traffic, I think is better right now than just these 2 or 3 streets that are seeing constant thousands and thousands of cars every day. If it's spread out a bit, it'll help these residents. And again, this is only the beginning. I do want to see more changes happen. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else would you like to make another comment?
Not to disagree with you, but the fact is that at least Sigourney and Derby and Charger are all one-way streets. Augustus is not. It's getting traffic from both sides. And there was, someone mentioned Joe's Market. Joe's Market has increased traffic a lot. And it's also increased trash, to someone's point that spoke earlier. So again, I don't think that taking these on a case-by-case basis is going to solve the problem. I think a solution needs to be introduced that would help the entire neighborhood, because it is a neighborhood. Those 8 to 10 streets, they all are, they're interconnected, and what happens to one affects everyone. So I just think it needs to be a little more consideration for the entire neighborhood.
Thank you very much. Anyone else wish to speak in opposition to this? Hearing and seeing none. Do we want to address Sigourney now? Because they seem to be pretty well, have to take them together. So why don't we move on to a public hearing for Councilor Serena to amend Schedule 5 of Title 10 by adding Sigourney Street southwesterly from Grover to Malden and Sigourney Street northwesterly from Grover to Squire. Anyone wish to speak in favor of this?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Richard Serino, Ward 6 Council. I know you know me by now. I'll keep introducing myself. I want to speak in support, basically the same reasons that I outlined with Derby Road, except the opposite. Everybody going to Northgate or to Route 1 via Copeland Circle from West Revere uses Sigourney Street, and pretty much only Sigourney Street, because again, I hate to go back to Charger, but Sigourney and Charger, I believe, are the only 2 from West Revere that cross over Squire Road. So when you're going, so people are coming from Malden Street, and I can attest, having, sat with residents on Sigourney Street, it's not pretty. Their quality of life over the years, as traffic increases, because everybody, including myself, my own family, I can't tell you how many times I cut down Sigourney Street myself to go to Route 1 or to Northgate. So again, just to give some relief, this would keep Sigourney Street at the bottom half of the street in the same way, and it would make Sigourney Street a one-way going toward Malden Street from Grover Street. So I respectfully ask, and you'll hear from residents who are seeking relief. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak in favor?
Joanne Janino, 14 Sigourney Street, Revere. I also have a petition signed by just my end of the street. I have lived there for 60 years. I've seen a lot of changes in this street, and they're not good. We have 4,134 cars a day, daily, go by our house, up our street. We have trucks, we have tractor-trailer trucks, we have heavy equipment, we have school buses when the school is in. We have everything that travels. And at night, most of the cars that go up there are not people who live in the city. They're people going home from wherever they're coming, going up to Route 1. So we really get the brunt of it there. Let me see. We do have children that live on this street. And the other thing I was wondering, why do we have 2 cutoffs at like Charger and Sigourney? If you go from the oil farm, there's one turnaround. Go all the way up American Legion Highway, there's not a cutoff anyplace. You get to Squire Road, there are 2. You go up Route 1, you have to go all the way to Bertucci's to the turnaround before there's another cut in the highway. So why did Revere get stuck with that and not Saugus, other cities? Do they care more about their residents in these cities or not? It's just been a nightmare. They come one way down the wrong street, and if you try to stop, to slow down, to turn the street, they beep at you and drive around you and pass you turning the corner. It's unfair to all the side streets in that neighborhood. There's not one side street that deserves this. I really think that trucks and heavy equipment should only go on Broadway and Washington Ave. I don't even think it should come down Malden Street, because I think we really are being subjected to really terrible stuff. When my husband was sick, he used to say the school buses started to come up Sigourney Street. He said, Joanne, do me a favor, please call someone. We have to get these buses off the street. The answer I got was, well, that's too bad. That's the route. That was what I got for an answer. They said, if you want to go out there and write the number of the bus and the company, it was ridiculous. They had a sick man there. It wasn't fair. So I got nowhere with that. And then I got sick, so I couldn't do anything then. I think that this has been long enough. I think it's time for the people who live in our neighborhood, all of our neighborhoods, to be treated with respect and take this nonsense away from us. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak in favor of this?
Good afternoon, everybody. Daniel Forty. I live at 18 Sigourney Street, and I've lived at Sigourney Street for almost 30 years. I have to tell you, I have never thought it would turn into this. I mean, it was bad when I moved in, but I did not get the luxury of being able to take my children and have them anywhere, even remotely out in front of my house. Now, my kids are older, but there's newer families moving in with smaller children, and I'm hoping that we can give them maybe that chance of not having to hold their kids for dear life just because they walk out their front door. I can't tell you how many times my house is directly next door to Joanne's that I have seen people take that corner, go up into her driveway, back down, and try to straighten back out. It's not even about the cut-through. The cut-through is one thing. We're not only a cut-through to Northgate, we've become an entire cut-through to Route 1. There's no way we can sustain over 4,000 cars a day on a one-lane street with people going 40 miles an hour, 50 miles an hour. It's a one-lane street. It's a residential street. And I do sympathize with my neighbors on Derby Road because I've literally am cleaning trash up from my driveway every other day. You'll see people drive by, the window comes down, cups out the window, bags out the window. I mean, this is just what people do. I mean, if we didn't have that amount of traffic, you wouldn't have that many people doing that. I think the only way to stop this, and again, I heard somebody make the comment about doing it, don't cut up here between hours of the day. That is not, in my opinion, gonna work. People are gonna go right through that sign because they're not gonna sit there and read, oh my God, it's 4 o'clock, it's 6 o'clock. I'm just looking at it realistically. I think we've dealt with this long enough. I think the 30 years I've been dealing with this, the 60 years Joanne's been dealing with this, but I think just for safety concerns and quality of life, we need to have something done. It has to be slowed down. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? No.
Wayne Rose. I'm in favor of this, but have we ever done a traffic study in this area, Mr. Genio? We have? Good. You got that too, Chris? Mr. Rose? Thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay. Anyone else wish to speak in favor?
I just want to point out with Sigourney Street that a lot of people come up here and say there's going to be an accident in that area. On Sigourney Street, there's been accidents. My car's been hit 3 or 4 times in front of my house, and every one of my neighbors lost a car or two over the last 10 years in front of their houses. It's not almost, it's happening.
Thank you.
Hi, Adele Cataldo, 38 Segurity Street. I've been there for 40 years. My 3 children have never, ever once been allowed to play out front. The traffic over the years has increased immensely. One night at 2:30 in the morning, someone hit my son's car outside. It came up the street so fast. The only reason why we knew who it was the imprint of their license plate was on the back of my son's car. Even if we're trying to back in our driveways, people get mad because they're in a rush to cut through. And my China hutch, the China shakes when these trucks come up. I have the ring, so you can see how fast they come up the street, and it's constant. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor?
Michelle Kelly, Derby Road. Just wanted to say that I agree with the last residents and what they said. I also wanted to point out, on Derby Road, I believe we have over 1,600 cars a day. And also, in terms of accidents, recently, the telephone pole on the corner of Derby Road and Squire Road, there was a major accident there, and that telephone pole was taken out, and it still hasn't been repaired. And again, that's because of the rate of speed that people take that corner. And luckily, no one got hurt, I don't think. I don't know about the driver of the car. But, yeah, there are accidents. And trash every other day. Every day, it can be 2 or 3 times a day on Derby. So, thank you.
Thank you. That's fine.
The old timers on our street, remember, Sal Zaba lived next door to me. He was there before Joanne. He told us that it was always that way. It was from Grover down to Malden Street. When they renovated, or whatever you call it, they redone Malden Street, the city asked if they can use it to go back to Northgate. When it was done, the construction, it was supposed to get reversed, and it never did. So that's gone before 60 years. Janie, your mother-in-law would know all the old timers. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else wish to speak in favor? Come to the podium, please.
Dan Forty again. I just wanted to, going back to the accidents, just to point out, I have personally lost 3 vehicles on my, right in front of my house over the time I've lived there. And not once was there somebody there when my car got hit. There was, we saw that person. But the 2 times that I had a total loss of a vehicle, it was in the middle of the night, and that's just the way it is. But, again, the other thing I wanted to point out was I do understand what she is saying, in that, we don't want to pass on the problem. But I think back with the city council, we need to start somewhere. And I think these 2 streets, especially the fact that these are the 2 biggest cut-throughs, will at least help a little bit. So thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? Hearing none. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition?
Just to go on the record for this one as well. As I said before, no one is disputing the traffic, the speeding. I mean, Chief Callahan, there's a speed sign on Augustus right before Grover. You know that there's a lot of people speeding up our street. Like I said, the problem is that if you address them just a little bit at a time, as we are, I would argue that, Derby and Sigourney being one ways is a mitigating factor to cut down on the traffic. Augustus does not have that. So we're getting it from both directions. If the light turns red on Squire Road and someone's at the gas station, they're going straight up Augustus. And as they said, when you come off the highway, you are speeding up that street. And my parents live there, but my kids are there every day. They're there while I'm at work. I'm on that street twice a day. I see what's going on. Everything that they're talking about could be applied to Augustus as well. As I said, I just feel like it should be, it shouldn't just be 2 or, if you're addressing it, you need to address the whole area. That whole neighborhood needs something cohesive so that, okay, I'm not gonna go up Sigourney, I'm gonna go up Augustus, cut over, and end up where I would have ended up anyway. Same thing with Derby. That's really my concern, is you're not solving the problem, you're just moving it. That's all.
Thank you.
Richard Serino, Ward 6 Counselor. Again, I just wanted to speak to Ms. Newton's, because actually she brought up a good point that I totally forgot. You know, when I asked that we do a comprehensive study and take a look at all these streets, Sergeant Janino was kind enough. Actually, my fellow ward councilors may be ticked off because I think we have one of the only speed boards in the city that are being utilized off of those streets. So the sign that she was referring to was on Derby Road. It was on Sigourney Street. It's gathering information, or just finished gathering. It's, you know, on Augusta Street. So we are working on it. This is not by any means the end of the road. This is just, as the couple speakers ago said, this is just to start somewhere. And I do look forward to continue working on this, and I do want this to kind of be my legacy, that, you know, we figured out how to change the traffic patterns off those streets off Squire Road to benefit the residents. So thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, Joanne McKenna, Ward 1 Councilor. I just want to give some information. I'm not opposed or against. I'm neutral, but Waze and Google give the shortest ways for trucks and Amazon or whatever to go up these streets. So I don't know if there's a possibility that we can call them, talk to them, and not let them go up these streets. You know, because someone, Joanne, was it you, saying that she witnesses the heavy trucks and, you know, whatever. So, and that's just what they're doing. They're sending them the easiest way possible to Northgate Shopping Center. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Sergeant, can I ask a question? The boards that you put on the streets, do those count cars also? Or?
Yes, that was the service I gave just now, Mr. Rose has them.
That comes from that?
Yeah, those are real time, as of June, July, up to date now.
Okay.
In my office, I could probably go back at older surveys to compare the differences on it.
Okay.
The numbers that are coming down, I mean, we're seeing 15 to 1,600 cars a day on Derby. Almost 4,000 a day on Sigourney.
Yeah.
1,600 a day on Augusta Street.
Okay.
Augusta Street's getting the traffic before the light.
Right.
Off of Route 1. Derby's getting the traffic after the light from Northgate.
Right.
And people going Route 1. And I said, most of this traffic's coming through here because of the apps.
Okay.
The apps are sending people down. When the expressway backs up, when American Legion backs up, Broadway backs up, they come up Route 1, it'll tell someone to go down Augusta Street or Derby Road, pick up Malden, down to Newhall, Cushman Avenue, Adams, Broadway, Eastern Avenue, Malden, go to the airport that way.
I see, yeah.
If you put the apps on it, it's ridiculous.
Okay.
You know, the other option is later on, petition the state and close the islands off in between.
Right.
They did it on American Legion Highway for St. Anthony's Church years ago. They did it on North Shore Road over by Sagamore, Sharman Street a couple of years back. They eliminated those, and the traffic was reduced greatly back then. So there are some options, but this is a start. And as I said, Augusta Street becoming the next, then Keeney, and probably Gore Road.
Okay. So, just my personal opinion, maybe we could do this on a 60-day trial and then use this information that Sergeant Janino has and put this board on the different streets to see what impact it has on Augustus and the other couple of streets around it. And so we can come back in 60 days and then reevaluate this, do it for now, see how it works, and see what impact it has on the neighboring streets. If
So it'll be Augusta, Keeney, and Gore.
Augustus, Keeney, right. And, because,
They'll put it back over Sigourney,
Right. Right. Just my suggestion, if anyone, maybe,
I agree with that,
okay.
Mr. Chairman. That's a
Because
fair
there
solution.
has been great points brought up here. We just might be taking this problem and just moving it to the next streets. So let's do it for 60 days, come back. The police department will have some more information for us to see what happens on these adjacent streets, and then we can take it from there. And as Councilor Serino said, maybe try to come up with a little more comprehensive plan. Yes. Start at September 1st. Right. And then come back here and, right. You can come back as a citizen of Sigourney Street. Right.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. I know obviously I'm not a member of the Traffic Commission, but as the ward councilor, I would be amenable to that 60-day trial. However, I would say after the 60-day trial, I would hope to see that we come up with a plan for the surrounding streets and not revert back to changing the one-ways back to as they are today.
As they were, right.
So I just want to make that
Right.
clear
So
for the record.
Right, exactly. I think you need to cure the problem on those two streets.
Right.
But hopefully we can come up with a more comprehensive plan and see what impact it has on the adjacent streets.
Thank you, sir.
Do I hear a motion to do this for 60 days?
Motion to approve on a temporary basis, 60 days, as proposed.
Thank you. Second?
I'll second that, sir.
Okay. We'll bring this back up at the October meeting, and that's when we'll have this information. Okay, that sounds good.
Sergeant Janino will be able to get a lot of data on those other three streets?
Yeah.
All right, excellent, because she brought up valid points about we don't want to push the problem to another street, and now I can really see the whole picture. But if we pull the data, comprehensive data. Yeah. Yeah. We absolutely have to do something because these folks need some relief, and I can see their frustration, and it's awful. And I'll be honest, I talked to police departments and other places. Since COVID, traffic is out of control. People have no respect for one another. They've become more and more aggressive driving. It's a serious concern, and we're trying to work at other issues to mitigate some of these problems, and we want to give you folks some relief. And we're not going to forget about you, Assunta, I promise. We're going to get a study on that. You brought up a valid point that I didn't even think about, but your street is very similar to Derby. When the lights backed up, the people go right to the street immediately, and the apps don't help either. It encourages people. Yes. And Sergeant Janino brought up another solution. I would not be opposed to, if we can't resolve this, petition the state, shut off those cutoffs on Squire Road and make people go in a full circle. It may be a little difficult for people, add a couple minutes to their commute to Northgate, but it may end some of that from people racing up all the side streets and cutting through. And I think that would be a very safe idea as well, because there is a lot of accidents at Sigourney and Squire and Charger and Squire. And they're serious, significant accidents. So I think we're going to focus on this, we'll get the data, and we're going to come up with a solution for everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on, number 8, the public hearing for handicapped person parking on 74 Victoria Street. That resident contacted me today and asked us to table it to our next meeting. A family situation came up, and that resident was not able to attend tonight. So we'll table that to our next meeting. Okay, and now we have 2 requests. Request to amend Schedule 11 of Title 10, Handicapped Persons Parking, by adding 22 Suffolk and 39 Larkin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I know I sent out an updated email to everyone this morning after conversations with Sergeant Janino. We wanted to see if we could put these on as a 60-day trial because we may not be having a meeting next month because of whatever's on the agenda. Suffolk Ave, there used to be a handicap sign there about 6 to 10 months ago for the resident's wife who had passed away. He now has a handicap placard and is requesting a handicap sign there. So he meets all the criteria for a handicap
Okay.
sign there. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing that we are on top of handicap signs and we remove them right away. Now we have to put one back in the place, but it would be great if we could approve that one. The one on Larkin Street, as you've seen by the pictures, they do have a driveway, but doesn't meet the exact criteria because what it is the father is in a wheelchair. And they can't get the wheelchair get him into the vehicle. There is a garage, but they can't get him downstairs from the home. They're in the process of getting all their permitting to put a handicap ramp to get him from the doorway to the front. Right now, they're carrying him from a wheelchair to get him down.
Okay.
So this would help alleviate there.
Okay.
Because they can't get him into the car with the vehicle in the driveway.
Okay.
So,
So you want to just, a motion to approve these? They seem to meet all the criteria, and we don't,
Yes.
okay.
Motion to approve,
A
sir.
second?
Seconded.
and then
All
we
in
can
favor?
we can have the public hearing at the next month to meet the, pending,
Yeah.
pending it.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question for Ralph. We have a handicap pole that was, the sign was removed, but the pole is still there. It's right after the Beachmont Liquor Store, and there's just a pole. Can we have that removed?
Okay.
311,
Yeah,
okay.
usually, what I've gotten, Paul, is usually sometimes they leave the poles in the ground in
Okay.
case they have to put the street sweeping is
Street-
what I
okay.
always get. So it's to your discretion. I
Okay.
guess that's why they usually leave the poles into the ground.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, is that in 311?
Yeah.
7 months? Okay. Want to just text me that,
Yeah,
just so I
take
don't
a look at it.
forget it? Okay, thanks.
No problem.
Okay, we may or may not be having a meeting next month because of lack of business, but we will certainly inform everyone when our next meeting is. And do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn,
Adjourn.
Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, everyone. Adjourned.